I went from reading 5 books a year to reading over 50. Here's how I made that happen. Hi, my name is Jordan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you caught the first video. It's now my second video on my YouTube channel. Moving right along. Before we get to it, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really does make such a difference in helping other people find my little baby burgeoning channel. So here's a little bit of backstory. I used to read as a kid all the time. I always had 2 books, just in case. And I could really lose myself in a story, have no idea what was happening around me at the time. And honestly, kind of lost that a little bit, especially into my 20s and early 30s. Probably a bit of a screen addiction in there a little bit. And I just stopped reading the way I wanted to. And I would watch other booktube channels and hear people talk about what they're reading right now. And I wasn't doing that. And so finally, I decided to use habits to help myself get back to reading all the time. I'm a big fan of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It breaks down really simply and explains how everything we do in life is built on systems, and there's no morality about it. I'm not bad for not reading as much as I say I'm going to or that I want to. If I work out less than I want to, there's no morality in it. There's not good or bad. There's just the systems. And I used to think that habits were very clinical, very Penny. Don't do that, please. She's chewing on my little prayer plant. No. In my previous video, I talked about rebuilding a habit for reading every single day by reading first thing in the morning. Let's pause here for a moment and go back to this morning so you can see this in action. Before getting out of bed in the morning, read. It's so simple, but it works. I would always promise myself that I would read before bed, but then I'd be too tired or binging a YouTube channel and I couldn't bring myself to read. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I turn on my lamp and read before anything else. Again, even if it's only 1 page, it's still reading. Good morning. I've just been reading a little bit of my book. I'm still reading Wild Reverence, which I talked about in my January video. I'm really getting into it. I'm a little over halfway at this point. It is kind of a thicker book. It's, I think, close to 600 pages. I said in my previous video that it's like a Greek mythology retelling, which isn't exactly true. I'm recognizing. I mentioned in my previous video how the characters are technically not characters from Greek mythology or Roman mythology. These are totally made up characters. So it's not a retelling in that sense, but it is like a retelling of gods and goddesses stories. They're different kinds of goddesses and gods. But what's also cool is it's how the divines interact with the mortal world, but then also how they interact with the 2 kinds of divines, skyward divines as well as the underlings. And so, of course, skyward, you think Zeus, underlings, you think Hades, but they're 2 distinct groups of divines, and I'm enjoying it. Usually what I do is when I first wake up, I read for a little bit, and then I head downstairs and make my breakfast and my coffee, say goodbye to my husband, Samuel. Haven't introduced him yet. Coolest guy ever. He heads to work. He's a physical therapist at the local hospital. I come back up and get a little bit more reading done, and then I start to get some work done for the day before I head off to, I call it my morning movement. Yay for the alliteration. And then today I teach yoga. I teach yoga a couple times a week. And after that, then I am going to edit this week's YouTube video. And I think it's important to mention, so all of these things that I'm working towards, these are all habits that I am building or, currently have. I feel like they have this almost like cold, sterile kind of idea around them. Like, we think a lot about the word of habits being, we're like diligent, but I like to reframe that as being devoted. So these are all things I want to do. I want to read every day. I want to write every day. I want to eat food that makes my body feel good. I want to build this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel wouldn't exist if it wasn't for me setting out and building habits by taking action, such as filming this video here or learning to edit. But I'm still not amazing at it,
by, whoever's definition is that we're supposed to like go by. Every day I take some action on it, and that moves me towards getting better and having it solidified as a daily habit so that I can continue to improve. That's why being devoted to it has helped me work towards it, because then it's not about like being down on myself if it doesn't happen. It's about being devoted because it's, a part of a life that I want to live. And usually after I read for a little bit, I'll do a little bit of morning pages, which I kind of laugh about calling them morning pages. So morning pages are from the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Morning pages are technically 3 pages of stream of consciousness, just journaling in the morning to kind of like wake the brain up and brain dump a little bit after sleeping. 3 pages I think is a lot. So I usually do like a morning page. I also have the journal that I have has like really tall pages. I guess that would be a way to describe them. They're tall pages. And so I usually do one morning page, and that helps me just kind of wake my brain up a little bit, and then start to make the list that I have for the day. And then also it's kind of starts to spark creativity for me for a little bit for the day. So I have a few ideas in mind to then write the Substack that I'm writing for the week. I write weekly Substack essays, my Substack Shade Cactus, but then also like different ideas to pull through for poetry as well, because I also try to write poetry almost every day because, again, I'm devoted to that. These are all habits. I almost wonder if there's a different word to use to describe what it is that habits do, because yes, it is habits, and yes, it is that like clinical, like there's a trigger and that's what makes it happen, and we can like build system based on that. But maybe that's something I'll think about. That would be a little bit more of a creative way to describe habits and the systems that we build in our lives to keep us doing the things that we want to do anyway. I'm gonna go get ready and go teach some yoga, and then I'll be back to edit a video, and I'll go from there. Okay, bye.
So here are 4 other habits, different ways that I found to make reading a part of my every single day. And the 4th is actually, I think, one of the most important and possibly most controversial. So stay tuned. First is romanticizing the TBR shelf, the to be read shelf for any newbies to reading. Analysis paralysis. Heard of her? I have lots of books in my house I've never read. I've been intending to read them someday, but then my eyes would anxiously dart from spine to spine while I attempted to pick the right book to read next. Then I'd walk away and leave them to continue to exist on my shelves, unread. Now I make a spectacle of it. The headboard of my bed houses my TBR list, so as soon as I finish one, I move on to the next. There's no hemming or hawing, it's just the system. A beautiful system where I can fully enjoy the book I'm reading while looking forward to the next. And of course, if there's a book that I decide I want to read right then, out of order, I can. It's my list. The third one is using an app to help moderate phone use. Now, there's option on your phone, of course, to limit how many minutes a day that you want to be able to use a certain app. I have found what has been most helpful is using the app ScreenZen. This isn't sponsored or anything. It's just genuinely a life-changing tool that I swear by. The reason that I love the ScreenZen app is that you can choose which apps it limits. I have it set that I can open the app 7 times a day and have it open for 5 minutes. When I first click to open the app, such as Instagram, it asks me, is this important? Is this important? It's so simple. And from there, I can say, yes, this is important because I am not anti-social media. I'm creating a YouTube video right now. I think social media can have and does have such a powerful, positive impact on society. Of course, there are the negative sides, but it's not all that. For example, Good Boy Ollie, one of my favorite Instagram channels, and I will keep my Instagram, if nothing else, to watch his videos. And so with ScreenZen, then after the 7 minutes are up, it closes it down and it asks me again, is this important? Also cool because you can change it to say something different, whatever you want it to say. But each time I have to answer that. So after the 7th time that I've opened it, it finally says that I've used all of the times allotted for that day to open the app. And from there, I can go right past it if I want to, but then I start building a streak. And this is also something that's in Atomic Habits by James Clear, is building that streak. Now, if we're using our social media channels less while we're out and about, what about those waiting periods? Again, there's no morality in it. I don't think it's wrong to want to look or scroll through Instagram while you're waiting to get your hair done or whatever it is. But sometimes you can start scrolling and then it can turn into a doom scroll. We've all been there. What I have found is that I take a book with me. So now that I've built the habit that I read every day, now I can reach for my book and I have it with me wherever I am, and I can read instead of consuming Instagram. Now, maybe I find like, oh, I want to open Instagram for a little bit. And so I can. And so then my app will ask me, is this important? And then I can close it down. I can open it up and scroll for a little while. It's only up to me to decide if it's important. And sometimes it is. Sometimes I need to watch my Good Boy Ollie videos. I also like to have either a little tote that I take with me that has my book in it, and maybe I'll take a couple options if one's not calling to me at the moment. I will say I am someone that does like to read several books at once. I've been doing it less here recently, but usually I am reading close to 3 or 4 books at a time, depending on what my mood is at that moment. I do like to have a poetry book that I'm reading at the time. I recently picked up Ellen Bass's poetry book. I think it's called Human Line. I need to double check. And she is a poet and also a teacher that I've taken a couple workshops for in my poetry. And so she is brilliant, highly recommend. And so I like to have a poetry book for my reading as well. Okay, here is the final way that you can bring reading into your everyday life. And that is, I found that I wasn't allowing myself to buy books because I would feel guilty for the ones that I own and wasn't reading. I would look at that TBR like we were talking about, and I'd see all these options on there, and just none of them were calling for me. And so instead of just buying myself a different book that I wanted to read, I just wouldn't read. I found that I needed to allow myself to buy books. That's the final habit. That's the final option to get more reading into your life, is allow yourself to buy books. If money is a hindrance, the local library is an incredible resource. I really do love supporting my local bookstore. I'm minutes away from there. I walk there with my dog. We browse the shelves together, and I turn it into a whole romantic experience. And lovely. And they recognize my dog by name. I found that like, instead of feeling bad that I had all these books that I wasn't reading, it's okay. Like, I can use books to decorate my house. I have shelves of them everywhere. Some of them are meant to be read and some of them aren't. Some of them are for decor, and that's okay. I don't need to feel guilty about that. I don't have to read every single book I've ever bought if that's just going to keep me from reading. And so that's also another aspect of Atomic Habits, of just removing barriers. Another thing that I did, instead of feeling guilty that I wasn't reading books that I owned, I gave the books away. So now I don't have all these books around that I would see and feel guilty that I owned and wasn't reading. Now I don't own them. And so now I do read the books that I own. I also really like to get some books together. In my neighborhood where my dog and I like to walk, there's a few of the little free libraries around. And so I'll take some books to those and drop them off. And there might be one there for me that I grab. Actually, I found a T. Kingfisher book in there once, and that was my first T. Kingfisher book, Nettle and Bone. I've since read 4 of her books now, all because of a little free library in my neighborhood. So definitely utilize those if you have them near you. The library is also a fantastic option. Maybe just treat yourself to a book from your local bookstore. It really is the best. Okay, let's recap. So there's 6 things that you can try, and don't get overwhelmed. It can understandably be overwhelming to have 6 different things that you need to try, yada, yada, yada. Try one, just one, because that's what I did. I started just with morning reading, and that made such a difference for me. I also mentioned in my previous video that I really like Greek mythology tellings. A friend of mine who also has a YouTube channel, she recommended this author, Madeline Miller, and she writes Circe and Song of Achilles, not ones that I've read. I've heard of Circe, but I've never actually read it myself. So I'm excited to add those to my TBR, and I'll let you know when I decide to read them. They sound kind of like spring books for me. Maybe I will look to read 1 or 2 of those in March. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting my brand new baby YouTube channel. I'm seriously so thankful and glad you're here. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. What's on your TBR shelf? What are you reading next? I'd love to hear. All right, chat soon. Bye.